Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Reel Me In, a movie podcast where you didn't really ask for it, but hey, I'm going to give it to you anyways. This is a podcast where I talk about anything, everything, and anything about movies. I'm your host, Chase Lee, and hey guys, listen, if you were searching on the internet for some weird Ghost in the Shell porn and you're into that anime porn, God bless you. I kind of get off on it too, and you accidentally came across my movie podcast and you're not a movie fan, well, hopefully I can convince you to be one. This is episode 176, and we are almost there to the 200. We are almost there to the 4-year anniversary? Holy shit. So if you are new to the show, welcome. What I usually do is I take a look at some of the movie news that comes out throughout the week, movie trailers that come out throughout the week, and review some of the movies that come out on the previous Friday. So, episode 176, guys. On today's show, I will be going over some movie news, some trailers, and have my reviews of Ghost in the Shell and The Boss Baby. But oh wait, there's something on the list. Now, I have a guest coming back, and it is Joel once again. Joel, are you ready to dive into these cinematic masterpieces today?
They are just overwhelming, Chase. It's just their overwhelming brilliance.
and just to let you guys know, just as a true fact at what just happened, that was not sarcasm. He really meant it. So anyways, Joel is back once again. And Joel, we have something to tell the peeps out there. Would you like to explain what the hell's going on?
I would. I'm joining the show on a pretty regular basis. Something like 3 to 4 episodes per month, maybe all of the episodes in a month. Maybe there'll be one or two that I'm not in, but I'm going to be a regular fixture on Reel Me In.
Oh yeah, so
I'm very excited about that.
So all you guys that were complaining about just hearing my voice 24/7 for 3 years straight, well, you got your wish. Joel will be on permanently now as the official co-host of this podcast, and it just makes sense because the guy lives like 15 minutes away from me. We go to see most of the screens together. It just makes so much fucking sense. So, Joel will be the permanent co-host, which means if I am out of town or I can't record an episode with Joel, Joel will take over as the sole person to do that. And before we get into our episode, we are actually sponsored by something. Joel, would you like to pimp out what we are trying to tell the peeps out there?
I would. So there is a book coming out on April 11th. It's also available at Barnes & Noble locations across the country. Every location has at least like 5, I think. And that's Sage Alexander and the Hall of Nightmares, written by my father, Steve Copling. It is a teen fantasy adventure about a young boy who finds that he has angelic gifts and must defeat the 7 princes of hell. It's the first of a series of 7, and it's really good. So everybody should go buy that. You can buy it on Amazon. We'll provide that link on the YouTube link, and so it's super exciting. A lot of movement there, and the next one is even almost done, coming out next year.
Awesome. So yeah, if you guys are book readers, which I'm not because I have the vocabulary of a second grader, but if you are a book reader and you like fantasy novels and stuff, check out this book, Sage Alexander. The link in the description for the Amazon will be in the description below. Check it out. And hey, listen, guys, if you're not a movie fan and you want to listen to this entire podcast, hey, listen, hopefully Joel and I can convince you to be one. Let's fucking begin, because these 2 movies make me want to have a colonoscopy all over again. But before we get into the movies, Joel, we have some pieces of news to talk about, so let's jump right into the movie news, guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. Joel, you have the list, and as the official co-host, I will let you pick first. What would you like to talk about right now?
Okay, so we have some superhero news. I'm going to push that off for a second. I'm going to talk about something real quick. Not much is known about it, so it won't take long. But as we know, Universal is kind of resurrecting all of their movie monsters. They've got The Mummy coming out this year, and now they're going to be doing The Creature from the Black Lagoon, which I will say is one of my favorite of the old guard. I love that movie, and it's very eerie. It's actually kind of unusual for those older movies. A lot of them were hammy. That one was not. It's very eerie, and it's genuinely scary. I really like it, and I can't wait to see what they do with this, especially considering now, we've talked about this before with The Fly, where we have motion capture, and I feel like unless they use actual practical effects, you got that practical element. They've got a lot of potential here. I think that it could be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to seeing. I don't think they have a director or anything yet. So I'm looking forward to seeing who they get for that. It would be interesting if they got James Wan or somebody like that to take this on. I'm excited.
Yeah, listen, I'm all for studios trying to reboot stuff and try to get back in the public conscience once again. And we'll kind of see where it goes. When we see the Mummy movie with Tom Cruise and stuff and how they establish this universe. But yeah, this makes total sense. I mean, they said they were going to revive everything. So yeah, I mean, I'm not like the biggest Universal monster fan, but I think what I can appreciate most from this whole story and this whole universe that they're trying to do is that they're going for it. They're balls deep into this. They do not give a shit. They're going to go full steam ahead and do the plan that they decided to do. So yeah, good for them. Speaking of horror movies, Joel knows that I have a major hard-on for Blumhouse Productions, which is understandable because he makes great movies for the most part. Anyways, Blumhouse, to me, he just Jason Blum. He just goes out there and he just picks good horror movies. Like I said, for the most part. So it is to my understanding that Jason Blum, Blumhouse Productions, is going to pick up the rights to make a Five Nights at Freddy's movie, which is based on the video game. It's a very what are those games called? Where it's you're basically in one place and you try to fend off a bunch of villains or whatever, and it's set in this horror type of atmosphere, so it's really creepy and shit. So I've played the game a little bit, and it is kind of soaked in dread, and you're just you're paranoid the entire time, and I think that's what makes it the most fun. And your heart rate goes up, and it's just a lot of fun to play, especially at night when you're all alone and you freak yourself out. So I'm actually curious to see how they're going to do a movie based on this. It'll probably be something along the lines of I don't know, a Toy Story, but except it's going to be R-rated for adults and super violent. If you guys don't know the whole premise, I think it's set in a Chuck E. Cheese environment where at nighttime you're the security guard, right? And at night these animatronics in the Chuck E. Cheese would wake up and to fucking kill you and stuff. It's such a weird idea, but I'm actually really curious to see how they're going to pull it off. And if Blumhouse is behind it, I have full faith in it. I know Joel is probably shaking his head silently over there. Joel, why am I crazy, and why am I curious about this?
Actually, it sounds like a lot of fun. I actually have never heard of Five Nights at Freddy's. I know that sounds weird, but I'm not a huge gamer, so I don't spend a lot of time in that scene. I've never heard of it, but it sounds like a lot of fun. I love Blumhouse too. I think that they're killing it, especially this year with Split and Get Out. I think that they occasionally will pick up something that they then bury, like Incarnate or apparently the Belko Experiment, but they're winners. They're winners, and I think that this sounds like something that they could really make a lot of fun. It sounds crazy, very unique for a movie too, which they're kind of becoming this major studio. So it's an interesting pick for a studio movie. I'm excited to see where this goes.
Awesome. Yeah, listen, I know you guys are just God, get off of Jason Blum's dick every once in a while. Here's the thing, folks. He's a really good producer, regardless of what you think of his movies. He makes movies for cheap. He turns around a great profit, and he experiments a little bit. Like what Joel said, he can do big stuff like a Paranormal Activity or Insidious, but then he can also take a gamble like an Incarnate or Into the Darkness, and they're going to flop at the box office, but he takes a chance on them, and then he'll succeed with Get Out or Split, and then the cycle continues. So he's one of my favorite producers in Hollywood. But like I said, I'm not blind. I know that he makes some pretty mediocre to terrible horror films, but I know there's something good in him, and I know that he's not all just about the money. You know why I think that? Because he was this close, this fucking close to carrying an Oscar for Whiplash, and that would have been fucking awesome. To have Jason Blum, the guy behind Paranormal Activity and Insidious, to have an Oscar on his shelf for Whiplash. Holy shit, that would have been great. But anyways, yeah, that's pretty great news and whatnot. But so that's the normal news. Now we're going to get into some of the superhero stuff, which I know it's just Joel's favorite. But believe it or not, that's, the bigger news stories that break. So we're going to try to talk about them. And I think we picked the 3 best ones because these are all very different in their own right. And I'm sure we both have different feelings. So, Joel, out of the 3 major superhero stories, which one would you like to talk about first?
Oh boy, this is easy. They're all very interesting, but the most interesting is very easy to pick, and that is that Aaron Sorkin is in talks with Marvel and DC, possibly going to choose one of those, I guess, and then run with it. Apparently, he doesn't read comic books, so this is interesting to me because you have Marvel and DC. They're very, let's just say it, they're very strict about who they hire and who they keep hired. And that's not like a criticism; it's just an observation. There's a lot of people who drop out because of differences in creativity and all that. So it's going to be very interesting to see whether or not he meets with them and then decides, you know what, it's not really worth it. The guy thinks on his own. I'm very interested to see if something does win him over, and if it does, then I'm guessing like he'll just read a bunch of the comic books. So he can kind of get a handle on it, because this is a guy who, I love this. I love Aaron Sorkin. I might sound like a huge hipster, but I worship at the guy's throne. I think that he's a great screenwriter, not just of dialogue, but he has a specific eye or ear, I guess, for language, for how people talk. So if he can immerse himself in the superhero world, write a screenplay that feels like Sorkin, and also feels like the comic book character, that's going to be very unique. But yeah, I'm really interested. I'm interested to find out if it's possible that he does one for both of them, because that would be really interesting. We're about to get into a news about Marvel people bleeding over into DC anyway, but nevertheless, if those things go hand in hand, that would be like roughly the same time. That would be an interesting thing to see. To see Aaron Sorkin write a movie for Marvel and then write a movie for DC, or vice versa. And yeah, I'm really interested to see how this plays out, because it's definitely confirmed that he has talks with them. So it's interesting.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I get really excited, because just like with you, like Aaron Sorkin is a beast at dialogue and story structure and character development. Like, he's one of the best. Like, one of my favorite behind the scenes videos, if you watch the Social Network behind the scenes, the guy is literally on set with David Fincher to make sure that his dialogue is said appropriately at the right time. Like, he is one of the best, and like, he's very meticulous at what he writes and whatnot. And so with him not reading comic books, that's not a problem, because whatever character he decides to go with, he's going to do research on it. I'll guarantee you this is what he's going to do. He's going to read a bunch of characters, and he's going to just kind of pick up issue 1 from everyone. And whatever holds like his attention the most, he's going to dive deeper into it and do more research, and he's going to really kind of understand the character. That's who Aaron Sorkin is.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting is I'm in some film groups on Facebook, and people were discussing this, and they were wondering, what character would be best fit for him? And I'm just thinking, well, knowing Aaron Sorkin, really, if he just reads a bunch of the comics, any of them would be, because he would his method would be to understand them. So it wouldn't be just like picking a character that sounds best. I think that really with any of them, if he just reads, like a bunch of the issues of their comic books, and different ones too. There are different tones to a lot of these too. He can get a good center and kind of discover kind of for himself, which character works best for his style, for his outlet, and I feel like anybody could be really for him, unless it's like a hero that doesn't talk a lot or something. I don't know, but even then, though, you'd have side characters. He's got a very unique style, and it's going to be interesting to see how it melds with a superhero.
He does. For sure, and I know a lot of people are probably thinking like, oh, which one would he go with if he had the opportunity? Believe it or not, I actually think he'll go with DC more than Marvel, and the only reason I say this is because Marvel is owned by Disney, and Sorkin does write some pretty mature scripts. Yeah. He does, and I have a feeling that Warner Brothers will give him a little bit more free reign than Disney would. And I'm not saying that like he has to make a superhero movie that with F-bombs and sex jokes and all that stuff. Like, it's not that. It's the fact that it's Aaron fucking Sorkin. And if you're going to hire him, you hire him to do the script that he wants. Because what he's going to make is going to be something that we've never seen before in this genre. So I think that he's probably going to go with DC more, only because Disney is... I as much as I like the Marvel films, they're very family-oriented. And yes, their films do get dark at some points. But Sorkin... is the type of guy to where you would want him to do the thing that he wants to do, and if he wants to throw an F word in there, you let him throw the F word, because whatever he does in his scripts has meaning to it. He doesn't just frivolously put shit in his script that doesn't make sense. Like, everything matters, whether it be dialogue, story structure, or character. So that's why I have a feeling he'll go with DC over Marvel if this were to come to fruition.
Yeah, like with profanity in his dialogue, it's usually regional. Which means that it's never gratuitous because he's working within a region.
Correct.
So, like, Newsroom, for instance, took place in the Northeast, so they use the F word a lot, and so he could get away with a lot of that. And plus, it was HBO, but nevertheless, it was there's a lot of it in there because there's a lot of it in that region. Whereas the network was PG-13 because it could be. It wasn't talking about characters who use it constantly in a region where it's constantly used. So he's able to find the language of the characters, use that to inform them, and I really like that about him.
Yeah, exactly. So like I said, if I had to put money on it, I have a feeling that he'll go with DC more than Marvel. I'm not saying that he wouldn't do a Marvel, but I'm just saying under the Disney guidelines, you guys have to understand this. They are very fucking strict about what they put out there in terms of their brand. And like, even when you watch the Marvel films, they go pretty fucking dark. But have you guys noticed when these Marvel Cinematic Universe movies come out, they don't ever put the Disney logo in front of it because they don't want their like family-oriented brand in front of the movie, but they still want to own the rights to it. So it's a very interesting process, but I have a feeling that Warner Brothers will probably scoop them up because you guys have to keep in mind, HBO is owned by Warner Brothers. So Sorkin has worked with him before, so keep that in mind. But yeah, I'm interested. I'm really curious to see who's going to pick. He's either going to pick someone that's really grounded or someone that's so fantasy supernatural. He's not going to choose in between. It's going to be either side of the spectrum. So I'm really curious. Great piece of news all around. So I know Joel and I are really excited. Speaking of other superhero movie news. So, Joel, what do we got next?
Okay, so I sort of hinted at this one, because if he writes for both of them somehow, then that would be somebody touching both Marvel and DC, and now we have somebody who has already touched Marvel. He's already directed 2 movies for them, and is now going to move on to DC, and that is Joss Whedon is directing the Batgirl movie. This is really weird to me. It's pretty exciting. I'm hoping it's more like the first Avengers than the second one, but nevertheless, I like him, and I think that it kind of goes to my theory that I voiced a couple of weeks ago on here, that they're probably going to go for a more comic tone after Justice League is finished, because he works with comedy a lot. It's the same thing with Matthew Vaughn, where Matthew Vaughn is in talks for Man of Steel 2. Now you have Joss Whedon's directing Batgirl. I just feel like this is going for a lighter tone, They're going to get all the more serious stuff out of the way, and then they're going to focus on personalities, because that's what Joss Whedon's strength is. That's why I love the first Avengers so much, is because he was able to focus on the personalities of the characters, and in another sense, that's kind of where he faulted with the second one, because there was less of that. But I'm really interested because this is Batgirl, so clearly Batman's going to be a part of this in some way, and I feel like we're going to get an announcement soon that Ben Affleck is going to co-star in it, because Batgirl, clearly she's going to be influenced by him in some way. We don't know which story they're going with yet, but nevertheless, it's going to be interesting, because then you also have Matt Reeves' Batman coming out, and that one's probably going to be serious. So I'm very interested to see where they're going with this franchise, if it is in fact more serious, or whether or not we're just wrong. Maybe they're just going to direct the movies and they're going to be serious again. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. All this stuff is my response is it's going to be interesting, because a lot of it is. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, who they get to cast in it, and yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes.
And once again, this goes back to the whole Disney Warner Brothers thing. The fact that Joss Whedon is going to be doing this for Warner Brothers is a big FU to Marvel, because he's been on record saying that he hated working on the second Avengers because they had to rush him into production. That's also, like I said, under Disney. Now that he's working with Warner Brothers, he can pretty much do what he wants within their PG-13 universe, which is a little bit more edgier than Marvel's, just because of companies and whatnot. But yeah, I'm really fascinated actually to see what he's going to do with this character. And like what you said, is Batman going to be in this? Is J.K. Simmons going to come back for Commissioner Gordon, her father? Like, there's so many unanswered questions in terms of, does this play in the universe that they're setting up? Like, is it going to be in a separate universe? Like, what is going to happen with this movie? But he's writing it, he's directing it. It's going to have some humor in it. It's going to have a strong female character. It could be a really good movie, given the pieces involved with this puzzle. So, I'm on board. Actually, I'm. And just to let you guys know, this is where Joel and I disagree. I actually like the second Avengers a lot more. I know a lot of people have problems with it, but I've seen it like 5 times, and yes, they do have some of the similar story beats as the first one, but I still like the second one even more. I don't know why, I just do. And I understand.
You are crazy, sir. Crazy.
Well, you were the one that's crazy. But the thing is, like, a lot of people have a problem with like Ultron and his motivations. No, he clearly says his motivations within the first 30 seconds of his birth. So I've never had a problem with that. And people had a lot of problem with him evolving and stuff. He's fucking technology. That shit's gonna happen. He's AI. But whatever. That'll be. Joel and I will do an in-depth Avengers: Age of Ultron spoiler discussion episode that will be 5 hours long. So I can basically talk for 4 hours and 30 minutes on why Joel is wrong, and then I'll give him 30 minutes to talk. But whatever. Joss Whedon doing this. He's basically saying, fuck you, Marvel, I'm going to go do this now, which is really funny that you have your allegiance with one studio and then you go off and do something that's going to be competition. So it's just funny. Anyways, that is it for that news. And so the last piece of news, guys. Oh, God. I don't even know where to begin with this. Anyways, Amy Pascal, who loves to just ruin everything over at Sony, basically said in an interview, which she shouldn't have said this. I realize contracts and whatnot, but keep your mouth shut. So basically, she was interviewed at WonderCon, I believe, and they were asking about Spider-Man: Homecoming and Spider-Man's involvement in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and whatnot. And she's like, "Well, after the Homecoming sequel, we might not be in the universe anymore." So on top of all that, another piece of news drops that they're going to be doing an R-rated Venom movie that's going to be in this kind of separate universe. So I guess let's tackle the Amy Pascal comments. Listen, I realize that you have contracts, and I realize that your contract is probably only up until the Homecoming sequel, but you would be a fucking idiot not to work with Marvel to continue on your franchise. I think that's just moronic. I think you said that to rile people up. Why the fuck did you do that? Now it looks like you're eager to just get out of this deal after Marvel's going to kind of set you up for success, and you're going to go off and do your own thing and then crash and burn again. I just fucking keep your mouth shut. Second thing on the whole Venom thing. Why? Like, I understand that, like, Logan and Deadpool, R-rated comic book movies, yay, success, hey, let's continue that. I'm not disagreeing with the fact that Venom should be rated R. I'm disagreeing with the fact that there's going to be a separate universe already separate from the Marvel. Like, why? You partnered up with Marvel, which, by the way, kudos to you for doing that, because I never thought it would ever happen. But you partner up with Marvel/Disney to do this, to set up this universe to get people kind of accompanied with and whatnot. Now you're going to venture off and do an R-rated type of universe to kind of really shut out the crowd that's going to come and see Spider-Man Homecoming in the first place. So I don't understand that at all. If you want to do a Venom movie that's rated R, it needs to be within the same universe. It doesn't need to be its like separate thing. And the fact that they will probably I don't know why she said those comments, but I think that they'll probably renew the contract. I just think in the moment she just said something stupid and she shouldn't have said it. But yeah, listen, I'm on board for an R-rated Venom movie because I think Venom and Carnage are two of the Spider-Man villains that actually do warrant an R rating because of how violent and grotesque these characters are. But the whole separate universe thing is where it just kind of loses me. I think they should stay within it. No, because do you guys remember when Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out and they tried to set up for the Sinister Six movie? They tried to set up for Amazing Spider-Man 3 and 4. And look what happened. Amazing Spider-Man 2 tanked on its dick. And now they retracted everything. They're going back with Marvel because they were desperate. And now they have this like cocky attitude to where like, well, we know that Homecoming's going to be a hit and the sequel's going to be a hit, Infinity War's going to be a hit. Then we're going to go off and do our own thing. No, you're going to crash and burn because you're so confident right now, and you got to wait until these movies come out to see what you'll even do. So whatever. This is fucking Sony, man. Joel, what do you first of all think about her comments that they may pull out after the Homecoming sequel, and then, of course, get into this separate universe, which I know you're just dying to talk about?
Okay. I have a lot of thoughts. Some of them are controversial, so just beware. I have a feeling that she meant Infinity War by those comments. Maybe not. Maybe she specifically referred to Spider-Man Homecoming. I'm not sure. I feel like she meant Infinity War, because I feel like he's already been confirmed for that, Tom Holland. So I don't know. It's really weird. As for the separate universe, I don't get it. I mean, it doesn't really make sense now that they've recast him. And I know that Andrew Garfield would not want to come back. He's kind of vocal about that. It's going to be weird to see where this goes. I'm not sure. Now, the Venom movie. I'm probably about to get booted off the podcast for good. Forever.
Rest in peace, Joel.
So, I'm a huge fan of Spider-Man 3. It's one of my favorite superhero movies. So I really would love for Sony to cast Topher Grace just to see what happens. Because I love that performance. I think he's great in that movie. And people are probably wondering, what? But yeah, I like Topher Grace in it. I understand the controversy surrounding that. But really, if they don't get him, I really don't want to see this. I mean, I will, but I don't know. I'm sort of with you. I just don't understand the configuration of all this, what it means for Sony. I just don't understand any of it. I really don't have much to say. I'm just kind of baffled. I'm willing to give it a shot, I guess. The R-rated thing makes sense, though. You're right. Venom and Carnage are very violent, grotesque things, and I just don't know if it's necessary. I still feel like it's probably meant to be after Infinity War, in which case we'll see it in the 2020s. But I don't know. It's weird. It's weird.
Yeah, it's just. It's like if I tried to do a podcast, for instance, and I was very hit and miss on it, and I started to tank. Like it's kind of like real life what I'm doing now. So I asked Joel for help, right? And he's gonna help, kind of shape the show, make it a little bit better. But then after 5 episodes, I'm gonna kick him off and then do my own thing again and take it. Like that's exactly what's happening. It makes no fucking sense to me, but whatever. Amy Pascal, you've had several bombs in a row with Life and Passengers, so continue to fail with your other fucking movies, and don't rely on Marvel for help, because obviously you're just really confident about this separate universe like you guys were after Amazing Spider-Man 2, so whatever, go fuck yourself. Alright, so that's it for the news, guys. What was your favorite piece of news? My favorite piece of news is actually the Aaron Sorkin thing. I'm sure Joel will agree on that. It's like, Jesus, like I can't believe that they've tapped the Sorkin to do something in that universe. It's fucking awesome. But whatever. That is the news, guys. Let's jump into the trailers because we have a lot to talk about. Joel, which one would you like to pick apart first?
Let's see. There's a lot. There's 7, I think.
Including the one I told you last night for the edition,
yes,
right?
Okay. I think including that one, there's 7. I'm counting. Yeah, 7. So, let me think. Let's get into the one that might cause the most discussion.
Uh-oh.
And that is the Book of Henry. This is the newest movie from Colin Trevorrow, who is the guy who directed Jurassic World, although this is more in line with his, I think it was his first movie, Safety Not Guaranteed from 2012, which I really liked that one. This one is weird, and it's getting a lot of really negative reaction because of the hero of the tale, or seemingly, is a young autistic boy in this particular, or seemingly autistic. I don't even know if he's autistic. That hasn't been spelled out yet, but nevertheless, this one stars Jaden Lieber as a young boy who is sort of, it's weird because he seems to be in kind of a strange relationship with his mother. Then his neighbor friend is assaulted by her dad, who then he kind of gets his mom to take him down. It's really weird and unique, and it's kind of hard to explain it in a way that makes it sound appealing, but for me it's appealing. I like this kind of mix of all these different genres and tones. I think that it's very unique, and Dean Norris is in it. I love Dean Norris. Spoiler alert. Not spoiler alert. Kind of controversial opinion, hot take. I think Dean Norris gave the best performance throughout Breaking Bad. So I love the guy, and it's going to be very interesting to see him in this role. I don't know if it's really against type because he has a bunch of different types, but sort of against type as the neighbor dad, who's also the police chief or captain or something, or maybe assistant district attorney. I can't remember, but it's going to be very interesting because it looks like it starts in this certain kind of Amblin kind of way, with a story about a young kid, kind of very earnest drama, and then it kind of shifts into this thriller. And I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing that mix. It's going to be a very interesting mix. So yeah, I know that we're on the same page with this one. So.
Yeah, and first of all, what you smoking, fam? The best performance in Breaking Bad is the spoiler alert, main character. But I will say that Dean Norris was the second best. I actually really liked his progression, his transformation, especially towards the last 4 episodes. Woof, that was really great. Anyways, I love this trailer because it was unpredictable. I didn't know anything about it. I just knew that Colin Trevorrow was going back to his kind of indie roots, making kind of a smaller, quieter film. that was not Jurassic World or Star Wars Episode 9. And so, as the trailer played, it was like very, very innocent. It was like, okay, it's just a bunch of kids hanging out. Like, it's just, we're going to see, Jacob Tremblay and the other kid from Midnight Special, kind of interact as brothers, and, they meet their neighbor, and then, oh shit, it takes this weird dark turn, and I was like, oh my god. Like, it was one of those things where as I was watching the trailer, because Joel texted me before I watched it, he was like, man, that trailer was great. And as I was watching, I was like, Joel, this trailer's fine so far, it's nothing special. And then once they do the kind of like the genre twist, I was like, what the fuck is this? I'm enjoying the hell out of it. So yeah, I think it looks interesting. I think it's going to be like kind of this intense mystery to take us throughout the movie and whatnot. I think it's going to be a nice ride. Basically, it's just going to kind of take us all over the place, but never feel like it's jumbled or genre jumping without any purpose. Like, I have a feeling it's going to flow into like this really cool type of suspense thriller, starting out as like an innocent, just kids bonding type of movie, and then just delve into this like dark hole. So I really enjoyed it. It was something new, something
right down my alley. And also, all three of the kid actors in the movie. There's not just Jaden Lieber and Jacob Tremblay. The girl, people might recognize her. She's not really an actress. She's more of a dancer. She is the girl from those Sia music videos. She did the weird gesticulating dancing in like Chandelier. She's performed on SNL. She was on Dance Moms, which is a reality show, and then she kind of rose up in the music video world, and now this is her first movie role. So her name is Maddie Ziegler. Looking forward to seeing how she does. So I'm really just very interested about all of this. And Naomi Watts looks awesome. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, like I said, it was something kind of fresh and unique because I had no idea where it was going to go. It was very unpredictable, and I really enjoy it when a movie can do that. Kind of set your expectations in the beginning and just kind of delve into this like dark, deep hole. And I'm like, damn, that was actually really good. Because you're right, Dean Norris was going against kind of his type that he usually plays. He usually plays like the good guy, the cop, or hell, even in Fist Fight, he was the principal. God, I forgot he was in that one. But anyways, this one he's taking more of a darker turn. I'm excited to see it. And then, come on, it's Naomi Watts. I love the woman. All right, so let's see. Let's talk about that Annabelle 2 creation trailer. So this one dropped late last night, and I told Joel to add it on the list, and he was like, ugh, why? And I was like, just hear me out. So anyways, Annabelle 2, or it's not Annabelle 2, it's Annabelle Creation. Basically going to be a prequel of sorts, kind of like what Ouija did, where the first one was balls, and then the second one is a prequel, and it was actually pretty decent. And that's what this one looks like. It's from the director of Lights Out. I actually didn't mind Lights Out until the very end, and then just completely unraveled everything, and I didn't like the way it ended, and I just like, ugh, fuck. And so I didn't really care for Lights Out, but I appreciate the direction behind it and the fact that he really kind of took notes from James Wan and really made it his own movie while still having the same James Wan type of horror tropes in it. And this one does the exact same. So I really liked the trailer. I thought it had some really great creepy moments with like the doll and the characters and whatnot. And I really like the way all these James Wan movies are filmed, because they're filmed in such a way and they're edited in such a way to where the jump scares don't seem like they're forced or faked, and they feel like they're getting more creative every single time in terms of, how are you going to reveal this? Are you going to have it in shadow? Or are you going to have the camera pan around or whip around or whatever? It's just really interesting to see how, as these movies progress, they still seem fresh. And that is the one thing I've always given James Wan credit for, is that it doesn't matter if he's doing the Insidious movies, the Conjuring movies, the Annabelle movies, as producer or whatever, his stamp is always on them, and they're always fresh. They never seem old. But I like this one. I like this trailer quite a bit, and I actually do want to see this one, because I missed the first one. I had no desire to see it, but I think with the director of Lights Out, it's going to kind of bring that fresh take to it, kind of like what Mike Flanagan did for Ouija Origin of Evil just this last year. So I like the trailer quite a bit, and I actually do want to see it. So Joel, what you got?
Ugh.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. The first one was pretty bad, and I don't know. It just doesn't seem like my thing. I didn't understand why they made a spin-off about a doll that was used in the original movie, in The Conjuring, as sort of a plot device, and a really interesting plot device. I don't know. It just felt unnecessary to me. And then now we're getting a movie about the origin of the spin-off doll. I don't know. It just doesn't. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it's gonna be good. But I'm sure I'll see it. I'm sure I'll see it. I see these things, but I'm not looking forward to it. I thought the first one was bad.
Well, I have a similar feeling how you feel about this one, about one of the ones that you're excited for that we're about to talk about. So, if you would like to bleed into it, I'm going to tell you right now that the new King Arthur trailer still hasn't sold me. I don't know what it is about this movie, but like every single time a trailer's released, I'm like, ugh, it just looks so bland and boring. And I will admit that this last trailer was a little bit more exciting with like the action and stuff, and really kind of put Guy Ritchie's stamp on it in terms of like his frenetic like cinematography and editing and stuff. It does have his style with it. I just don't give a shit. I've never once like was like, oh, I'm so excited for this movie. It's more of like, ugh, this movie's coming out type of deal. And I love Guy Ritchie when he does like his smaller films, and I even like the Sherlock Holmes films for what they are, but there's something about Guy Ritchie's style that just doesn't really work all the time with big blockbusters, and I just don't give a shit about this trailer. I don't care about it. It's well shot, I guess, and it is better edited, this trailer, than the previous trailers, but I just don't care. So I know Joel thinks differently. He's actually excited for it. Joel, can you try to convince me? Can you try to convince our wonderful listeners out there why you have lost your fucking marbles, and why are you actually looking forward to this?
Well, I don't know. It just looks awesome to me. I love the visual style. It's not even remotely similar to Sherlock Holmes. Visually, it looks like it really deviates from that. I like the interesting structure that it seems to be taking on. It seems like a lot of it's going to be told through flashback, possibly. And I just like that it's sort of this semi-modernized take on the legend of King Arthur, and just the visual effects look awesome. The action looks awesome. I mean, it doesn't look like a deep, inspiring movie. I don't know. It just looks like a lot of fun, a lot of really rambunctious fun, with some cool action and a nice little scenery chewing Jude Law, and just the visual look is just awesome. I don't know. I'm just super excited for it, and it's one of the 3 of the 4 blockbusters in May that I'm excited for. So
I guess. To be honest with you, I feel really sorry for Charlie Hunnam. I know after Sons of Anarchy, he wants to do these big blockbusters. That's fine. I really like Pacific Rim, but that did not do well here. This one's not going to do well either in America. It might do better overseas, but I have a feeling this is going to bomb just like Pacific Rim did here. So I just feel sorry for him, man. He's picking all these like projects where he's confident in them. It's just people are not grasping towards him, and maybe it's him. Maybe he's not a leading man. I don't know, but I think I'm more curious about King Arthur just from him, like his point of view in terms of like just building his career and whatnot. Because I never watched Sons of Anarchy, so my first ever movie with Charlie Hunnam, or first anything, was Pacific Rim, and that's not like a movie you want to showcase your acting. That's just more visual spectacle and just kind of get lost in the fights and whatnot. But maybe this one will kind of show a little bit more of kind of like what Russell Crowe did with Gladiator, and really kind of show us a different side to him. So I don't know. I'll see it for that aspect, but I'm still not excited for it. And Joel is for some weird reason, but whatever. So Joel, we got 4 more to talk about. Which one would you like to talk about next?
All right, let's do it. And before anybody
yes.
Okay. Before anybody makes the joke of what, I'm just going to explain it. It's the first feature adaptation of the Stephen King novel.
Yes, it is.
And it's interesting because a lot of people refer to a previous movie. That was not a movie. That was a miniseries in 1990. Anyway, it's a really long novel. I've never read it, and I've never watched the miniseries, but I'm really interested to read the novel, which is 1,138 pages. This movie is apparently the first part of two. I did not know that until yesterday. It's apparently also known as It Part 1, The Losers Club, or something like that. I don't know if that's going to show up on the title card, but nevertheless, it's part one of apparently two movies. And this one is directed by Andy Muschietti, who I believe directed Mama back in 2013, which I liked. So I'm very interested in this because I love the premise. I'm scared of clowns, generally speaking, or at least I don't like them. Maybe not scared of them. I think that they're creepy. Of course, we have Pennywise, the dancing clown, as the main the monster in this movie, as far as I know. And it just looks visually stunning, first of all, and no wonder, because the cinematographer of The Handmaiden is the one who shot it, and that had some of the best cinematography last year. Everybody go watch The Handmaiden. It's on Amazon Prime. Anyway, and it's on Blu-ray now. But yeah, I'm really interested. It's also got Jaden Lieber, I believe, unless that's somebody else. I'm pretty sure that's Jaden Lieber in the cast. So he's got this in Book of Henry this year, and obviously there's a Stranger Things-esque kind of quality to it. Of course, Stranger Things borrows a lot of iconography from Stephen King, so that's not surprising. And just the trailer is so atmospheric, and I love how it doesn't seem to be like just cheap jump scare movie. It looks more psychological, and I'm not surprised by that, because clearly Stephen King's books are pretty psychological. I mean, even with something like a clown is terrorizing kids. I understand that the book was this saga about this. It's obviously a very long book, and I understand that it was a saga. So I'm very interested to see this, and just on a visual level, very excited. Looking forward to seeing what Bill Skarsgård does as it. As what? No. Anyway, so I'm excited for this. Even though I have really no history with the name, I'm looking forward to it.
I have to apologize, because when the photos came out about a month ago with It, the clown, it looked terrible. I was like, oh, Bill Skarsgård looks like he's, I don't know, it just looked like a costume he picked up at like Party City or something like that, and he slapped it on, and he's trying to look creepy. I have to apologize, because this trailer is fucking dope. Like, I agree with Joel. Like, the whole atmosphere of the entire trailer is terrifying. And the way, it might have just been the way they edited the trailer, but the way they edited it, I was creeped out. And that last shot, I was like, God damn it. Like, you're going to make me piss myself. And, like, I'm kind of with Joel on this. Like, I'm not really a fan of clowns. And, I'm starting to be okay with them. But, like, God, this trailer it travels me back to my childhood when I did see the miniseries It with Tim Curry. I'm not saying that's a masterpiece by any means, but I do own it because I do like it for nostalgia purposes, and I do like Tim Curry's kind of like darkly comedic performance. But now they're going to go into the way of like really straight up horror, and I like the way Bill Skarsgård looks. That last shot of him coming out of the fucking like basement lake. Oh, Jesus Christ. Like, if I saw that, this kid is just sitting there staring at it. I'm like, what are you doing, you motherfucker? You need to run up the stairs and, like, call 911 or get a shotgun and shoot his fucking face off. I love the visual style of it. It looks terrifying. Like, all the shots they chose for the trailer in terms of hiding it and really kind of just hiding his face just enough to where you can see a little bit, but you're still kind of curious as to what all of it looks like, and it just really kind of like makes you unsettled throughout the entire trailer. I liked all the kids in it. I like the fact that they got the kid from Stranger Things, and this is not going to be like Stranger Things, folks. I'm going to tell you this right now. One, Stranger Things is more of like a PG-13 kind of like Super 8 type of movie. This is going to be a hard R movie, so I'm really kind of curious to see how violent it's going to get, what they're going to like. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a couple of things that are taboo in movies. One is killing animals, and two is killing children. So I'm really kind of curious to see how far they're going to push it, because I have not read the original novel, but I do know that the movie itself is terrifying, and a lot of the kids are put in a lot of peril and harm's way and whatnot, to where I'm just really curious to see how far they're going to push it. But this trailer completely sold me on it. I apologize because those photos looked like ass, but Bill Skarsgård looks creepy as fuck in this trailer. And that last shot, Joel knows what I'm talking about, of him doing this weird spider walk towards the kid very frantically. I'm like, no, just fucking no. I will kick you in the balls, you fucking clown. So it was scary. I loved it, and I'm actually really looking forward to it. And it can't come here fast enough. And knowing the fact that first, two things about it. One, it's coming around the same time as The Dark Tower, the other Stephen King movie. Awesome. Two, it's coming out a month before Stranger Things Season 2. So from August to October, I will not go anywhere. I will just be at home watching shit. It's going to be great. But anyways, I can't praise that trailer highly enough. I fucking love it. All right. Moving on to another trailer that I'm really excited for is War of the Planet of the Apes. Now, I covered the first trailer a couple months ago, but they dropped the second trailer, and oh my, how can you not look forward to this movie? And I cannot believe, watching Rise of the Planet of the Apes back in 2011, which I really liked, by the way, I was like, okay, they're going to be making this trilogy. How much better is it going to get? How far can you kind of expand this universe? And they did just that. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is a fantastic sequel that really just kind of ups the ante from the first one in terms of visuals, cinematography, story, emotion, and the growth of Caesar. For this one, in the second trailer, this is going to be an all-out war, pun intended, and it's going to be epic as shit. I love the way all the apes look. I love the fact that their English is getting better. I like the fact that they're getting smarter. And Woody Harrelson looks terrifying as the villain, as the human villain. I love the whole scope of it. I love the whole kind of emotion that the story is probably going to take us on. I love, like I said, just kind of like the way everything looks. I love the special effects and the fact that they're getting better. Because even in Rise of the Planet of the Apes, the special effects were already good. But Dawn of the Planet of the Apes upped that. Now this one looks so photorealistic, it's actually quite scary.
Yeah.
But I really like the fact that 20th Century Fox, and I will give them all the praise in the world for this, is that they're not, cashing in on this franchise. They're really kind of taking care of it, focusing on what really matters between the apes and the humans, and really kind of focusing on Caesar as a central main character, and seeing him grow from Rise to War now. It's such a great transformation, such a growth in leadership, and just really kind of doing what's right, for his fellow ape. And I love the trailer. I cannot wait. It is probably, you want to take Marvel movies and DC movies out of the mix for the summer. I believe this is probably my most anticipated, right behind Alien Covenant. I cannot fucking wait for this. And I don't know if they're going to do another one to kind of lead up into the original Planet of the Apes with Charlton Heston, or if this is going to be the last one in the trilogy. I don't know that. I just know that if this is going to be the last one in the prequel trilogy, shit's going to go down, and it does not look good for the humans. Let's just say that. So, Joel, I know that you're really excited for this movie. Please, just please feed this movie's ego even more.
Yeah, no, it looks great. I like the previous movies as well. Weirdly enough, I think I like Rise just a little bit more than Dawn, but they're both really good. And this one looks to be even better than both of them. My favorite part of this trailer is Woody Harrelson.
Yes.
I'm really excited for this character because he looks like just such a cynical, just hardened guy that I'm just looking forward to that performance. It looks like a great performance. I mean, I feel like, we're going to have probably just a handful of great blockbusters throughout the year, and even more specifically the summer. And I feel like this is going to be one of those. I think it's going to be like, Logan. I'm hoping Star Wars is like that for the fall. And it looks meaty. It looks exciting. It looks visually stunning. not even just the visual effects, but the cinematography looks great. It looks just really good. I'm excited for this movie.
Yeah, and I also, just on a side note, if you guys were skeptical of Matt Reeves directing the Batman, just watch Dawn and War of the Planet of the Apes, and you'll realize that this guy is capable of making a very epic movie, but also kind of focus in on the characters and really kind of develop them nicely as well. So, guys, it's I can't believe that the Planet of the Apes prequel trilogy is probably going to be one of my favorite trilogies ever. Like, it's just fucking bizarre. I never would have thought that in a million years. But yeah, great fucking trailer. We have two more to talk about, one of which Joel's not really happy about and I'm kind of iffy on, and then the other one is really, really good. So we'll end with that one. So let's talk about the iffy one. And I purposely saved this one for Sunday because on Tuesday's episode I did split up the trailers and I talked about Spider-Man Homecoming. I'm excited for it. It's fine. It's a fine trailer. But this was the bigger one that came out. I know that Joel has mixed feelings on it, more negative, but the Justice League trailer. I will say this. As a fan, as one of the only few people on Earth, like I'm talking planet Earth, that loves Man of Steel and actually loves the Batman v Superman Ultimate Cut. I hate Suicide Squad. However, I was looking forward to Justice League. I'm looking forward to Wonder Woman, which that trailer was pretty bomb as well. This Justice League trailer, I'm excited for, because I'm excited to see all these superheroes come together in the first ever Justice League live action film. The problem is the visual look. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, wait a minute, you like Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. True, but I have like, Zack Snyder did this weird thing with Justice League, and it could just be the trailer, and it could be just they have to work on it still, but still, why would you release a trailer, but whatever. Is that this one looks more video gamey than the other two, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's purely the visuals that makes it kind of look downgraded a little bit, but I don't like the visual look of it at all. It just looks very, very dark, but flashy, and then very CGI, and it just looks so artificial to me that it kind of takes me out of it a little bit. I'm still excited to see it, but the visual component right now actually gets me worried just a hair, even though I do appreciate the visual look and aesthetic of Man of Steel and BVS. I think it was a better blend of CGI and practical and all that stuff, but this one just looks straight up CGI, and it looks kind of horrific, actually. As far as the actual, like, characters and how they interact and stuff, I have no issue with that. I think Jason Momoa as Aquaman looks badass. The interaction between him and Batman and Wonder Woman, it all looks authentic, and I do like the chemistry between everyone. I'm looking forward to Ezra Miller as the Flash, and Ray Fisher as Cyborg. That's kind of iffy with me because I've never seen him in anything. He's primarily a theater actor, but his CGI on Cyborg looked terrible. It really did, and I really hope they clean that up and make it better. It's just the visual aesthetic is what really brings it down for me. Everything else is fine. I'm still looking forward to it, but God damn it, Joel, that visual aesthetic, it looks so video gamey, right? Like, I know that you pretty much think similarly on this, right? You actually said that the first time you watched it, you liked it, because I remember we talked about it, and you said as you kept watching it, it got worse.
Yeah, so what happened was, so here's the thing. I mean, so first time I watched it, I'm a big Zack Snyder fan. I'll just say it. I think the guy makes really interesting blockbusters, even when they're not super successful, like the theater version of Batman v Superman. Love the Ultimate Edition. I've said that before. The thing is, like, so real quick thoughts on Spider-Man Homecoming, because I wasn't on last week's episode, the episode that you talked about it on, but you know, I think it looks blah. I don't have any feelings toward that, but as I said on Twitter, and I'm sure that you saw this, it looks like a better video game than Justice League. Here's the thing. It looks so ugly. So visually ugly. The visual effects look terrible. Cyborg looks like a plastic play figure. I liked one part of this trailer. One part. And that was the exchange between Batman, Aquaman, and Gordon. When Gordon's like, I see you're playing. I see you're playing well with others, or something like that." And then Aquaman says, "Dressed as a bat, nice," or something. And then Batman turns back to Gordon and says, "Probably temporary." I think that that's funny, and if the movie can be like more of that, that would be interesting. But for right now, it just looks. There's not going to be characters in this movie. There's going to technically be characters in this movie, but there's not going to be characters in this movie. This is not going to be a movie that goes in depth with anybody. It feels like it's going to be just they get together and then they fight a bunch of stuff in visually dark environments that you can't see, and it looks so fake and phony. It looks just committee produced down to its bones. It just doesn't look like it has any personality except for that little exchange. And I mean, I'm hopeful for it. I don't want to put too much stock into trailers because I feel like the thoughts of the trailers are like informing one's anticipation. I'm still excited to see the Justice League movie because it's been in the works for so long. But man, this trailer just was not good. It was visually ugly. I couldn't tell you what was happening in this trailer. Could not tell you because I couldn't see it, and that's a big thing for me. And I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I remain slightly optimistic, but
yeah, it's really weird that I never would have thought I'd ever say this, but I'm actually looking forward to Thor Ragnarok more than Justice League, and they both come out within 2 weeks of each other. So I like Zack Snyder a lot, actually, and I think visually he can tell a story, and his movies are actually good. Like, the only one I've ever disliked is Sucker Punch. Everything else, from Watchmen to The Legends of Ga'Hoole to both of the DC movies, to even probably my favorite one he's ever done. I really like that Dawn of the Dead remake. I don't know, man. I think they, and this is not a dig at Snyder. It really is just kind of like a breath of fresh air type of mentality. You got to get a different director. I think this needs to be his last one, and they need to move on and just have more kind of a visual eye on these movies and whatnot, instead of just him. Because when you make the same looking movie, 3 times in a row, it does start to get, like Joel said, a little ugly and just very repetitive. So someone else needs to step in after him. But after this one, hopefully it's good enough for people. I feel really bad for DC because they're gonna. Wonder Woman will probably be a fresh movie, but Justice League is probably gonna get slammed. And I'm hoping it's good. And I'm hoping that changes it around. But yeah, so that's it for that trailer. And the last trailer, guys, which I'm really excited to talk about because it's definitely the most unique, besides the Book of Henry, of all the trailers that came out. And once again, it's A24, so you already know it's going to be at least good, unless it's barely lethal, and then that can go die in hell. But as far as this one, Joel, I have a feeling that you'd be able to explain a ghost story better than I would plot-wise, because it's a very unique one.
Yeah, it seems to be that Casey Affleck, who is under the sheet, plays the person who dies here, and then floats kind of through the aftermath of his death in a sheet. Looks like the Charlie Brown ghost kind of sheet over the the body with the holes in the face and all that. And then Rooney Mara is his wife, I guess, and it just looks really moving. I cannot wait for this movie. It comes from the director of Pete's Dragon, actually, David Lowery. Although this is closer to Ain't Them Body Saints from a few years ago. This is definitely an independent work from him. Obviously Pete's Dragon allowed him to make this. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it looks really unique, very moving. It's clearly not going to be a horror movie just because he's a ghost. It's definitely going to be a drama. It seems to be a very subtle drama, very low key, but with a lot of emotion behind it. And yeah, I am so excited. I've been excited since I heard about it last year, around the time when Pete's Dragon was coming out. I think that they had word of, he kind of secretly directed this movie or something. It was called A Ghost Story. Because he's got another one coming out this year, or it's going to be showing at festivals this year. I forgot what it's called, but anyway, this was the one that he made between Pete's Dragon, and that next one, and it looks very low key. It looks just basically like my movie. I love these. I love A24. We've talked about that, and they knock it out of the park for the most part. I think that this will be another winner for them. It comes out. I think in July 7th, I think is the initial date or something. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, I know Joel's excited because we're definitely gonna get a press invite for that. So it looks like what Joel and I were talking about when it dropped is like it kind of reminded us of like Personal Shopper in terms of like taking this like traditional like, hey, Personal Shopper is like, it's a supernatural movie. It's about someone reaching out to the afterlife and stuff. And you're like, oh, that sounds really cheesy, but it was actually really kind of like an emotionally moving film that really kind of focuses on the core character. It really kind of lets her grow through this type of supernatural element. And this looks like the same thing. Casey Affleck, I love Joel's description of the Charlie Brown ghost, but he's running around, with the sheet on top of him and stuff, and, Rooney Mara is, trying to get over this loss and whatnot. And I have a feeling it's going to be different because usually when people lose someone in a movie, like we see their process of grief and loss and how they cope with things. The fact that we're going to see it from this perspective with Casey Affleck actually seeing this, like seeing her cope with it and the grief and whatnot, that's an interesting concept to see the actual person that died, to see their loved one go through this kind of sadness. And it looks great. I mean, it's A24. I don't really need to say any more, but it looks like it's going to take an unconventional kind of ghost story or about something with loss and grief and really kind of flip it on its head and do something kind of fresh with it. So I'm all on board for it, and that will do it for the trailers, guys. Comment down below what was your favorite trailer. Joel, this is actually kind of tricky. What was your favorite one out of the ones we talked about?
I'd actually probably say A Ghost Story. I think it looks really moving and it's kind of exciting in that kind of low-key way. I'm excited to see it. So that's probably my favorite trailer.
I agree with you. However, I already knew it's A24. They were going to do something special with it. But I got to give it to it because I was not expecting that trailer to be as good as it was, and I was not expecting Pennywise to look as terrifying as he was, but it completely sold me. So that is my favorite of the trailers. Joel's favorite is A Ghost Story. So, guys.
What's your favorite? I'm just kidding. Okay.
Wait, do what?
I said, what's your favorite? You said it's your favorite.
It is my favorite, Joel. Fucking it. So that is it for the trailers, guys. Now, let's get into the meat of the podcast. But you guys, I know for a fact, because my listeners are fantastic, and Joel agrees, and you guys sit through these entire things. You sit through the news. You sit through the trailers. You're like, I just want to get to the heart of the fucking podcast. I know that this week was very special because everyone was looking forward to my thoughts and Joel's thoughts on Alec Baldwin as a talking animated baby and a anime remake. I know you guys were just looking forward to it, so I don't want to waste your time. We have to dive into it ASAP. So, Joel, out of the two gloriously underrated movies that came out this week with The Boss Baby and Ghost in the Shell, which one would you like to dive into first?
Well, let's dive into The Boss Baby.
Oh, fuck me. All right, so here's the deal, folks. DreamWorks has another movie they pumped out of their rectum with the same type of attitude as Home. You guys remember that movie? So The Boss Baby, it's very bizarre. It's a very bizarre premise. The best way we can describe it is that in heaven or wherever, instead of with storks, you have these babies being produced in a factory. Yes, this is how the movie starts. And you're either sent to a family or you're sent to management where you're actually going to manage this factory that produces babies to pump out and whatnot. And, Alec Baldwin plays this little Trump baby, if you will, and he's walking around, he's really confident, he's just flipping money at kids, and he's like, give me some sushi or whatever the fuck he was talking about, and he gets adopted. So he goes down to Earth, and he goes down to, like, this family through a taxi, and, you know, he doesn't like his brother, and, you know, he starts, like, jumping on trampolines and flying through windows, and, you know, there's something with, like, lactose intolerant, and, you know, the villain is just like, hey, I'm here, and, you know, he's an adult, and now he's a baby again. It's just, if you're lost in the way I was describing it, that's pretty much the plot points of the movie. So Joel and I saw this 2 weeks ago, and I wasn't expecting much. And besides a couple chuckles I got, this is a pretty fucking terrible movie. And the way Joel and I are going to be reviewing this, it's going to be bizarre, because I don't know who this movie was marketed towards. It has kid-friendly elements for, like, kids and the whole family, but it's also got jokes for, like, teenagers and adults, and it's got child endangerment jokes, and it's such a weird movie, and even the premise is just very bizarre for a kid's movie, and I don't know who they were trying to go for. So I'm going to tell you guys right off the bat, I did not like it. Joel, would you like to give your opening statement to this movie?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty bad. I wasn't really... when I first heard about it, I was intrigued because it's a weird premise, and I like weird premises, but, man, that trailer came out, and I was like, okay, what are we getting ourselves into? And it was sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy, because it was bad. And not only is there a lot of adult-oriented humor and an adult-oriented premise, kind of, I don't want to get into spoilers so much, because there's going to be a lot of people who haven't seen this yet. And, you know, even though it doesn't deserve such dignity, I don't want to go so deep into it. But the end of this movie, the climax is like something out of a Cronenberg movie, because there is a villain, and of course for the villain you have a comeuppance. The comeuppance of the villain in this movie is one of the most twisted things I've seen in an animated movie ever. I don't want to go into spoilers, but it stayed with me. It's the thing that kind of made me realize, okay, this movie's pretty bad. It's very irresponsible. There's a lot of, as you said, child endangerment that is off-putting, and yeah, it's a bad one.
Well, I mean, to keep it short and sweet on the positives, I have one positive with it. I think Joel and I agree on this one, is that it's Alec Baldwin. Now,
Yeah.
Regardless of what I think of the movie and, like, just everything about it, basically like 99% of it, that 1% is Alec Baldwin, because Alec Baldwin has that kind of pizzazz and that type of flair in his voice that he could only bring to this movie. If you would have casted anyone else to voice this role, it would have made it even worse. But the fact that he actually tried to make the jokes work. He gave that character a little bit of, like I said, oomph and pizzazz, and this type of weird flair that you were actually kind of drawn to. Like, everything that came out of his mouth, I was locked in. I was like, what kind of crazy shit is he going to say as this fucking baby in a suit? So I will give Alec Baldwin credit that he tried. He gave it, that extra layer of at least somewhat of entertainment and whatnot. So, believe it or not, that is the only positive I have. Joel, what are some of the positives that you have with this one?
Pretty much the same with Baldwin. I think it's a solid voice performance in a movie that doesn't really deserve it, or perhaps could use it. However you decide to look at it.
Yeah.
There are 3 clever scenes, or at least concepts for scenes, that I want to pinpoint, though, just quickly. It's not enough to give the movie much more dignity than it has, which isn't very much. But there are 3 scenes in here that I think point to the possibility of a better movie had they focused on that kind of humor. There's a scene where the boss baby must disguise himself as a puppy. I think that scene is really funny. There's a scene involving Elvis impersonators that had me rolling.
Oh, that was great.
I was actually laughing there. And then there's a part sort of early on where, and it's just a quick little thing. It's just a very clever idea where the boss baby is told So in this world, the procreative process doesn't really seem to exist because it seems to be that babies all come from this heavenly place. So the procreative process is whispered, sex is whispered into the boss baby's ear, and he kind of exclaims in disgust. He's like, "That's disgusting." And I thought that was pretty clever because you have the the real version. I don't know. It was just that idea. Again, this stuff isn't really much in the long run. There's so much wrong with this movie that it doesn't affect a lot. But that kind of stuff, I feel like if it had been more consistent with that kind of humor than the crappy stuff that they're doing otherwise, I thought that it would have worked. But yeah, so those are kind of the positives. Just kind of a few moments in Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like I forgot to. I was a little too harsh on it. I realize that, but Joel is right because we actually laughed at the same parts, and there were a couple of entertaining moments, but that does not justify a whole grade bump, not even a half a grade bump. I'm just saying that, for those few scenes, we were slightly entertained. That is not, enough to like jump it up. So, okay, the positives are out of the way. Negatives, here we go, folks. I think what it boils down to is the actual like overall concept and the humor, because I think it's all over the place. It doesn't know what it wants to be, and it's just very confusing on who is trying to be marketed towards. Like I said, you'll have jokes that are you'll have alcohol jokes, you'll have weird violent jokes, you'll have, like I said, child endangerment jokes, and then it'll go back to like sweet wholesome family themes, and it's like, the fuck? I realize that family films are pushing the limits in terms of like having jokes for adults and kids, but this was just so far, on the spectrum, like so far on the opposite direction. It was kind of off-putting, and I just thought the overall direction was kind of bland and flat when it comes to like the animation and just kind of like how they took care of like each scene. And I'm not a huge fan of like the non-physics type of animation where they're just flopping around like the waving inflatable arm flailing two-man type of style where they're just kind of going all over the place. There's no sense of like gravity or physics. I'm not a fan of that. And also, I forgot to mention in the writing, and Joel and I, picked up on this one when we left, is that ending kind of like battle scene with the villain and whatnot, and then what kind of happens to the villain. It was such a contradiction to what they just said like 15 minutes before. It was a major plot hole that it was just convenient for the story to kind of like, I guess, have an extra joke. And I was like, ugh. Like I'm usually a little bit more lenient on like kids films with like plot and stuff, because I know like 90% of the time they don't give a fuck. But when that one was so apparent, I was like, you just set this rule up and then you just completely went against it.
Yeah, so, because the screenwriters wanted to just completely disregard it, and it's, you're right. I mean, it's easier to forgive these kinds of movies for those because there's not much need for precision. But when something's that gaping and like chasmic, where it's just this huge hole that's never addressed, it's really just laziness. That's what it is. It's not even imprecision.
It's laziness.
And I mean, I'm in agreement with you here, 100%. These are all of my cons as well. I don't know who it was made for. I almost wonder if possibly at some point in the past it was a completely different screenplay.
I will bet you money on that there was probably like this.
Maybe there was somebody like who. I mean, I don't know about this. I don't know if they would have done this to this book because it's based on a book. A kid's book, I assume. I've never heard of it before, but I have to wonder if it was maybe just a completely different screenplay that they rewrote to be a bit more family friendly, and then maybe realized, oh, well, we can't really change the whole entire third act, so we're just going to keep that in here. And it just kind of turns, I mean, it's still silly, but it's weird. It's like the third act is a drama.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's still silly and funny and brightly colored and all that, but the dramatic push here is dramatic. I mean, it really is. It's a drama in the third act, and it completely goes against the first two acts. Not that those were very good either, but I don't think the build-up really works, but the payoff is particularly really, really not good.
Yeah, I think the tonal shifts are so apparent and so abrupt it kind of turns you off a bit, and it doesn't really help the fact that moving into like the voice acting part of it doesn't help the fact that everyone is just kind of bland. Like there's no life to anything except for Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, other than Baldwin, everybody is just like they filled the sound booth. It's just they didn't really put any. Even Steve Buscemi plays the villain. Let's just say, and even it just feels like it's an obligation for him. There's nothing really interesting about his performance, and that's kind of hard to do for Steve Buscemi. So
and this isn't a spoiler, but I was actually kind of shocked that they signed on Tobey Maguire to do the few scenes that he was voicing. I was like, why? You could have literally gotten anyone for that shit.
Apparently he replaced Patton Oswalt. Patton, had the family tragedy last year, and I think that it was around the same time that they were recording. Mm-hmm. So, and after his wife's death, he dropped out, which definitely makes sense. I mean. And so they got Tobey Maguire, but yeah, I mean it's just weird. It doesn't really seem to fit the character. He's a dramatic actor mainly, and I don't know. It's just weird. He just obviously it feels like just an obligation for him too. I don't know. It just so much of this feels both obligatory and kind of weird and creepy. It's a weird mix of the two because it's very silly, but it's so not really for kids. I feel like a lot of kids are going to be disturbed by this, at least at the end. Maybe some of the more perceptive kids, at least. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. It's just it's a weird one.
Yeah, it's really one of those ones that's kind of hard to pinpoint. And even with animated movies, you figure like, okay, that story was terrible, but at least the animation was good. The animation is not good here. You know what's really weird about the animation is that all the characters are in 3D, kind of like 3D full animation, and even that's still kind of lackluster, but the backgrounds are flat as fuck. Like, none of them stick out. It's just like they have a blurry background with the characters in the foreground, and it looks so lazy. Like, they just literally threw this together in the on a weekend, and they're like, okay, that's fine, we don't need to try. And it's just, that's kind of aggravating, because at least if your story and your movie's garbage overall, it could be at least good visual eye candy. And and speaking of that, with the animated type of like dream sequences, it's like they just didn't look good, and I don't know what they were trying to go for in terms of like visual aesthetic wise. And I just all across the board, it seemed like everyone just did not care, and everyone was lazy, and Alec Baldwin did the best he could. And when the film is like an hour and a half long, and it seems like it's 5 hours long, that's also kind of a problem. That's one of the other things with the editing. It's just, it feels so long, and I'm just like, this story doesn't even require it to be like that, like thought-provoking. Like, it could be entertaining, but like it just seemed to drag out, and it just didn't give a flying fuck about anything. I'm gonna go ahead and say my score. It's a D. And the only reason I'm giving it a D is because those three funny moments and Alec Baldwin. He is literally what saves it from making it a straight-up F. So I don't recommend this one. DreamWorks, I don't know what the fuck is happening to you. Because a lot of people look at DreamWorks and go, they haven't really been that good in the past few years. This is the same company, folks, that has made the How to Train Your Dragon movies, which are wonderful. It's like Game of Thrones for kids, but it's still enriched for adults and whatnot. I don't understand when you can make that and like the first Shrek, and even make something fun like Monsters vs. Aliens, and then you turn out like Home and now Boss Baby. It's like, what is happening over there? So a D for me. I'm tired of talking about it, because then we're about to talk about another shit movie, so I gotta see my energy. So Joel, to wrap up your final thoughts, and what is your score?
I think it's the worst thing that DreamWorks has made. And I mean,
besides Trolls, Trolls is pretty fucking bad too.
No, I like Trolls. But I mean, it really did kind of remind me of something like Home, but at least that one had its heart in a good place. It was mediocre and bland, but at least it had a heart in the right place. This doesn't really seem to. So I'm similar. I'm a little bit higher than you grade wise. I'm giving it a D+. But similarly, Alec Baldwin, those three moments, that's basically what works. And I think that on a very basic level, the premise is neat, but nothing past that.
Yeah,
about the premise. So, yeah.
Yeah, we do not recommend the Boss Baby, and like I said, I don't want to rag on DreamWorks, but when you've pumped out 3 turds in a row, it's like, can we please just have How to Train Your Dragon 3 already? Like, I'm so sick and tired of waiting for that movie, and then they're pumping out this garbage. So, and when we get, you will be fucking shocked when we get into the box office results. It makes me worry for America. I will just say that. So, yeah, Boss Baby can get good old Boss Dick, if you will, up the Boss Pooper, if you will. So. Moving on from one crap box to another crap box, Ghost in the Shell. Now, I have not seen the original anime version. I hear it's one of the best of all time. I know I need to get up on it. I'll probably just blind buy it, to be honest with you. I just really want to find like a cheap price on the Blu-ray, and I'll just straight up buy it because I've heard a lot of great things, and I'm starting to slowly get into more anime. Now, I was excited for Ghost in the Shell because I'm like, okay, maybe they can kind of bring over anime and make it, good, and maybe we can get people to stop the whole whitewash, like, okay, but what I was slightly excited, and I walked out extremely disappointed. And before we get into our review, and I'll let Joel have his little piece on it too, but I'm going to say this right off the top. Scarlett Johansson's not the problem with the movie, nor is the whole whitewashing thing. I do not care about whitewashing if you cast the right person for the role, and they deliver a decent job portraying that character, and it like, I'm okay with that. Like, there was nothing about her character to where I was like, even if it was someone of Asian descent, Japanese descent, it doesn't matter as long as the movie is good. Now, this was made and produced by an American company. Of course you're going to Americanize it. And did everyone watch that video where someone went around the streets of Japan asking, like, hey, would you be okay if Ghost in the Shell was remade with Scarlett Johansson? A lot of them were okay with it. Because a lot of them thought that Scarlett Johansson had the type of build and type of presence for that character that actually made sense. So I have no problem with that. She is not the problem with the movie. Whitewashing is not the problem with the movie. It's everything around it. So Joel, can you say your piece really fast about the whole whitewashing thing, and then we'll dive into this?
Yeah, I mean, I can see why. I think it does matter to some extent in terms of representation of minority actors in Hollywood.
Yeah, okay, so I will agree with that, but like I said, choosing Scarlett Johansson is not the end of the world for this type of movie.
No. This does not seem to be a culturally specific role for an actress of Japanese descent because of the nature of the character, and not just of this character. I feel like if there's specifically, apparently, a rewritten version. I haven't seen the original either, by the way. They've rewritten kind of the history of the character. So even with that taken away, I don't feel like this is a role that needed to be given to a Japanese actress. Whitewashing in general is obviously a serious issue in Hollywood right now. However, when you're talking about a specific movie's quality, it has no bearing on it, unless there's some like clear miscasting going on.
Yeah, and just to set my differences like in a clearer state, case in point, take Lone Ranger for instance. When you were adapting that type of TV show or radio program and whatnot, and Tonto is literally Native American. He is literally of Native American descent. And you do the movie and you cast Johnny Depp portraying a Native American. That's where I have an issue with whitewashing. But like what Joel said with Ghost in the Shell, this character didn't have to be Japanese. It just so happened to be made in Japan in anime form where the characters were Japanese. So it doesn't need to be in... now, listen, if they would have cast a Japanese actress, I would have been totally down with it. I'm not against that. I'm just saying, like, when you have stuff like The Lone Ranger and you have a Caucasian actor portraying a Native American, literally a Native American character, that's where I have the issue. But Ghost in the Shell does not have the issue. I just want to put that out there because she is not the problem. Everything else is. And speaking of that, let's dive into this because this is, my God, what a weird weekend for movies. All right, so I guess some of the pros. Scarlett Johansson is good, and I said this yesterday on the my top 5 podcast with Brian Sudfield, is that in the movie she has hints of her character from like Under the Skin, where she has like a very good sense of how to portray like a robot or an alien and really kind of have like that dead type of tone in her voice, or emotionless voice and emotionless eyes and whatnot. She can do that very well, and I think she does actually portray a good job performance-wise. It's her character that it's actually not really fleshed out or just kind of like all over the place. So I think one of the positives I can take from this is that her performance is good. And the second thing, two more things. Another thing, I do like the music. Clint Mansell, I love that man to death. He's created some of the most iconic pieces of music, and especially his theme in Requiem for a Dream that's overplayed in a lot of stuff now, but he has created some really great stuff, and I do like the music in this. And the third and final thing, positive-wise, visually, while it be very noisy sometimes, I do appreciate the visual aesthetic of the film. It does really kind of capture this world that this is kind of taking place in, and really kind of puts you into that type of world, and really kind of creates this atmosphere that's very palpable. It's very colorful, so I will give it that. So those are my only positives with it. So Joel, I don't know if you have more positives than me. I haven't really read your reviews. So this is kind of like new and fresh to me in terms of your takes. So what are some of the positives that actually worked for you?
Well, commenting on ScarJo, she's good. It's a fascinating performance to watch, because I think that she's one of these actors who uses stillness to her advantage. There are very special actors out there who can or could do that. Alan Rickman was one of those. Tom Hanks is one of those. A lot of these actors use stillness to their advantage. I think that she's perfect for those kinds of roles where she has to portray a lot in her face without moving it. She does that really well. She did that phenomenally well in Under the Skin. I even thought that she did that well in Lucy, although there was a little bit more of emotion there. But nevertheless, this one, so she's kind of perfect for this role. I think that she maybe goes a little too far with the deadpan here. Sometimes it's the difference between emotionless and inscrutable, and I think that here she's a bit inscrutable. But the great thing about her performance is her walk. She's portraying a robot here, and so she kind of transforms her walk a bit. It's a little more forthright. She's walking with a purpose, because it's a robot built with a purpose, programmed with a purpose, and she walks that way in this movie, and it's very interesting to watch her walk. That's my favorite part of this. Other positives, visually, it's really pretty. I'm going to get into that in some of my cons, though I think that there's some problems, but nevertheless, it's very pretty. Cinematography is beautiful. The visual effects on the characters, on the melding of practical and digital effects on the characters, are really good. And the music, like you said, very rich, kind of very atmospheric. The other positive I will say for me is Michael Pitt, or should I say Michael Carmen Pitt, because that's how he's credited for some reason. Anyway, I liked his performance here. It's interesting. I've never seen the full movie. I've seen parts of it, but there's that movie Manos, the Hands of Fate, and there's a character in the movie named Torgo. And if y'all have never watched that movie, go at least watch the scene where he's introduced and tell me that Michael Pitt did not do an impression of that character for this role. It's absolutely uncanny. Go watch that on YouTube. Anyway. I think it's a neat little twisty kind of. He chews the scenery, and I like scenery chewing villains when they're done well. I think that this is done well. He's got an interesting inflection to his voice. He's got a very neat little posture, and also the voice reminds me of that old voice program on computers that was the robotic voice. In fact, Radiohead used it in a song-ish type thing called Fitter, Happier. Everybody go listen to that and then watch the Torgo scene and tell me that the performance was not inspired by those two things. I'm telling you, you won't be able to tell me not. Um, anyway, those are my positives. Everything else is terrible. This movie is bad. I just okay. I haven't seen the original. I haven't read the manga series. I have no history with this. I tried to watch the original in the weeks before, but couldn't find a physical copy. I to rent or buy or anything, and I didn't really want to watch it on a streaming service. I wanted to watch it on real Blu-ray HD, so I just couldn't find it, and I apologize for that. There's this weird tweet thread going around that, for some reason, if you're a white critic and you haven't watched the original Ghost in the Shell, you're proud of that because you're racist. Let me just tell that person. Yeah, let me just tell that person who tweeted that. No, I really tried to find this and I couldn't because I don't have very many rentals. I only have one rental store near me. I don't really have many other places that would sell this. So no, sorry, but you guessed wrong. Anyway, I wanted to see it. Moving past that, it's a bad movie. It's unfortunate because you have a lot of interesting ideas kind of raising their head here about identity in terms of Scarlett Johansson's character, Major, whose real name has been changed from Motoko Kasanagi, I think, to Mira Killian, but really her name is Major, and she's this this figure in this team that's trying to infiltrate this robotics corporation that has kind of melded all of the humans with machines. This is in a very futuristic society where cybernetics have been kind of implanted into people, give them a boost of like some special ability or whatever, and she's trying to infiltrate it because the chief of the company is corrupt. Really, honestly though, like none of the ideas here breathe. There's no. It's sci-fi without a brain, but it's like there's a brain, but it doesn't want to use it because there are a lot of ideas here that kind of poke their head out, but the movie doesn't allow itself to explore them. All it's doing is using those ideas for the very basic process of moving a plot forward. That's all it's doing. And there's no ambition in the plot. It's just this chase movie. And anyway, there's just really no ambition beyond the very visual.
Well, that's
the city.
That's one of the major complaints about the movie is that it has all these ideas of like identity, what it means to be human, and understanding the kind of pathos that humans have and whatnot. It never explores anything. It literally just it will have an idea. Like, case in point, this is in the trailer, so this isn't it's not a spoiler or anything, but in the original anime, I was reading up on it that, she tries to discover, sexuality and identity and, like, the inherent beauty that humans portray, and, like, in the movie, there's one scene where, like, she literally goes up to this one chick because she's just very curious, because a lot of people see her as a sexual object. So she goes up to this human woman, and then they have like one scene where she's like touching her lip, and then it cuts to another thing, and it's like it's already off to on a different plot point. And it's like, yeah, okay, you didn't really explore that well. And so when you have all these ideas of like, AI and humanity and how they are coming together, and they're starting to have the lines blurred a little bit, that's also a fascinating thing, never really explored. Another thing that's a problem with it is that the director, Rupert Sanders, has no idea where to go with this movie. It goes in so many different places, it's never coherent, and just like what Joel said, it never has time for anything to breathe. There's literally one scene where, like, an explosion happens, I will just say, and then the next scene, someone already lost his eyes. And it's like, we just got to know this character. I don't feel any type of depth that you would expect me to connect with him. Nothing. It's just, show this scene, go to this scene, go to that scene, and on top of all that, it's boring. Like, there's nothing engaging about the movie whatsoever because it never really does explore these ideas. It doesn't really have compelling action scenes, so it's just it's a slugfest for the first two acts, and then that third act is just, it felt like it was thrown together so fast with everything wrapping up, and you're like, well, I didn't even have a chance to get invested or get to know fully about that character, and then they're already dead. And it's like, okay, and then the movie just ends, and it's just very jumbled, but also very fast and quick, and its scenes, and it's just, the direction is just all over the place. Like I said, visual aesthetic wise, yeah, I get it, but on the flip side, some of the cinematography and some of the visual aspects and the special effects are very messy. They're very noisy, and they're just kind of all over the place when it goes to colors. Like, there are some shots where it actually works, and some shots it's a little too much. So I
think a lot of the wide shots of the city don't work because it looks neat conceptually. Like, there's just a bunch of elements there that are really neat that we haven't really seen before in a live action movie, at least. But then it doesn't really look precise. There's I don't know. It's just like the camera captures it all in such this mundane way where there's no awe, and it's not even on our part. It's like the director, the filmmakers don't feel awe. They're just getting the job done of putting special effects in the movie.
Yeah.
And there's no awe in it, and that's what I want. Something awesome, literally awesome, that inspires awe, and this just kind of coasts by on, there are visual effects in the movie. Okay, our job is done. Instead of something like Steven Spielberg's AI, which is an incredibly thought-provoking movie. It's devastating and also visually stunning, and it inspires awe. That's kind of what this movie wants to be, clearly, which is ironic because I feel like AI was made in the wake of Ghost in the Shell, the original. I feel like Kubrick probably saw it, conceived of the idea, and then passed it on to Spielberg, after reading the short story it was based on. Anyway, not to get into that, but... Well, the original, inspired a lot of, and that's what's actually surprising. The original inspired a lot of similar kind of steampunk movies, but here there's not really much innovation, and you would expect that in a movie like this. And you're right about Rupert Sanders too. I was not a fan of his Huntsman movie with Kristen Stewart. I felt like there was a similar problem there, where it seemed to be rushing through the plot, and that the visual effects were, impressive on a conceptual level, but there was no real awe. That's what I felt about that movie. And that's what I feel here, even to an even greater degree. It's the laziest possible way to relay this plot was just kind of beat by beat. Here's what happens. Here's what happens. Here's what happens.
Yeah, it felt watered down.
Yeah,
like, it felt extremely like PG-13, watered down, and ironically, what you say about the visuals, like, yes, conceptually it's good, but ironically, the movie is very flat, boring, and mediocre at best, and that's what is kind of frustrating, is that all those ideas are there, they just never go anywhere with it. It just felt like a lifeless movie, which is ironic considering the fucking title of the movie. So, yeah. I'm done with this movie.
And you can even kind of tell it on the actors' faces, because a lot of the performances here seem bored. They seem like, okay, well, I'm performing this scene, but what's the importance of it beyond it being a scene in the movie? And especially with somebody like Juliette Binoche, who's a great actress. She's in this movie, and she gives it her all, or she tries to, but the screenplay just doesn't let her shine. And Takeshi Kitano, big time. He plays the leader of the team. Big time star in Japan. Big time. He's one of the biggest stars ever there. Nothing to do. He just kind of sits around and talks in an earpiece until he gets his big, shooting people moment. But other than that, there's really no reason to have him in it. It just all feels very obligatory. And yeah, I was not a fan of this.
Yeah, and it sets it up for a sequel, and you're like, I don't want to fucking see a sequel. And and this is what
that's
sucks.
Another thing. That's another thing. All of the details about Scarlett Johansson's character seem to exist here to push forward with a series. That's all it seems to be doing, and it doesn't seem to be trying to explore anything. It's sequel baiting, and
that's what's frustrating about it is because Paramount knew what they were doing, and yet when I get to the box office numbers here shortly, there's not going to be any more anime movies ever adapted for America ever again. I'm serious because like when you look at the numbers and you realize what the Boss Baby did compared to what Ghost in the Shell did, this country's not interested in this shit, and it's fucking annoying. So I'm tired of talking about this movie. I'm going to give it a slight edge above the Boss Baby only because it's visually better than the Boss Baby, which is not saying much. So I'm going to give Ghost in the Shell, the American remake, a D+. This was a shit weekend for movies. I don't want to ever talk about these movies again. Ghost in the Shell only is better than the Boss Baby because it has at least some type of aesthetic to it. So, Joel, wrap it up and let people know what you really think about this movie grade-wise.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much feel the same way. It was a bad weekend for movies. Even the third one I reviewed, which I'll talk about in a second, just as a plug. Even that one was disappointing. It was just not a good movie. I'm giving this one a D+ as well. It's pretty bad. So it's weird. I'm giving both of them the same grade. I never thought that would happen. Yeah, it was two. If I was doing bottom 10s anymore, last year's was my last one. These would be contenders for it. They're just bad movies. And anyway, so both boring too, kind of slogs to get through. Yeah. And they should have been weirder. They should have been more subversive, funnier. I don't know, something. But as is, both pretty bad. Giving both a D+. So.
Yeah. What was the third one that you wanted to plug?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I was just gonna plug it in the where you can find me online, but it was The Blackcoat's Daughter, which is which is the new A24 film. It's their second this year and their second disappointment this year. I liked them a lot, but sometimes they stumble. This one was a stumble, and although it maybe a lot of people don't feel the same way, it's a slow burn. It's set in a very confined place, but it just kind of gets sillier, and then it becomes really predictable. And so that one is the third one that I reviewed on my website this week, and for a new site I'll talk about in a second.
Awesome. We'll get to that with the plugs. But as far as box office results, you guys ready for this? Because this is one of the most shocking things I've ever seen. But then again, we live in America and we voted for Trump. But whatever. For the top 5, I'm usually like, I can usually kind of pinpoint like what's going to be number 1, what's going to be number 2. Like, I had no clue that the numbers were going to be this bad to where it would literally kill an entire movie and support one that doesn't need supporting. So. Joel, would you like to guess the top 5?
Oh boy. Well, let me think. So we had 3 wide releases this week. I'm assuming probably Zookeeper's Wife didn't show up anywhere on the top 5 at least. I'm going to say maybe number 5 was Ghost in the Shell. I'm just going to throw that in there. Probably is lower. I don't know. 4, I hear whispers, although I didn't actually look anywhere. I hear whispers that Power Rangers dropped a bunch. So I'm going to say maybe number 4 was Power Rangers. Number 3... No, I'm going to say maybe number 4 is Logan. Maybe number 3 is Power Rangers. 2 is Kong. And then 1 is Boss Baby. I don't know. That is...
Joel, I have to ask you. I know it's early on Sunday, but what the fuck you smoking, kid? So
I have no idea.
All right, so first of all, Zookeeper's Wife came in at number 10 with 3.3 million. It only opened up in 541 theaters, so that's not really good, but I don't know what the budget is, so that's how much it made. Number 5 is actually Kong Skull Island with 8.8 million. Dropped another 40%. Let's look at the numbers real quick. Oh, fuck you,
Oh my
Bucks.
gosh. I forgot that Beauty and the Beast came out.
Oh, no, it's okay. You already said your shit. All right, so I do not know its progress so far because Box Office Mojo is actually updating everything right now. But I'll try to do my best. I think the budget was it was around 185 million. It's made 147 domestically, and it's made a lot overseas. But for this particular movie, it needs to make about 500 million to break even. You got to double the budget, and then of course you got to add PR and marketing and whatnot. I think it's close, but Box Office Mojo is being a dick right now, so you guys are only going to get the base numbers domestically and whatnot. So sorry about that. Number 4 is actually the Power Rangers, and it dropped 64%, and it made 14.5 million. It cost 100 million to make. It's made 65 domestically. I believe that's domestically. So that's not really particularly good because it needs to make about 200 plus to break even. I don't know how it's doing overseas because, once again, Box Office Mojo decided to be a fuck right now. I really enjoyed Power Rangers. I gave it a B. I really liked it quite a bit. Number 3, Ghost in the Shell with 19 million.
Whoa.
Its budget is 110 million. So unless this film could be saved overseas, this is the last anime movie we're going to get in America. That is one of the biggest flops I've seen, and it opened up in 3,400 theaters. Like, what the fuck? So, I don't know. I think it's done, and I don't think it's going to make its money back. Maybe overseas, maybe Japan and China will save it, but it ain't going to be saved over here. Number 2 is Beauty and the Beast with 47.5 million. It only dropped another 47%. Jesus. Right now, it's almost got 400 domestically. It's at 395 on a budget of 160, and it's made a shit ton overseas. It's going to be hitting that $1 billion club here pretty soon. It's definitely made its money back plus some because with 160 times that, you're looking at 320 with PR and marketing. I'm going to say it probably spent pretty close to 100 mil in marketing because it was fucking everywhere. So I'm going to say for shits and gigs, maybe 400-ish to break even. Oh, yeah. It's already made that just in the States. So, Jesus. And this is where I've given up on America. The Boss Baby is number 1 with 49 million. Wow. Its budget is unknown because, once again, I can't look at the shit. I don't know if it opened up overseas. I'm assuming. Oh, it decided to work. All right. Thank you. All right. So it made 59 overseas, and so it's made 108 total on its opening weekend. That is way too damn high. Its budget is not listed, so I don't know. I guess going back to Beauty and the Beast since it's working now. Fucking box office. It's made 876 million worldwide, so it's made more than enough to make its money back. Ghost in the Shell worldwide numbers. Did it open up? What the fuck? Box Office Mojo, guys. It just loves toying with me. All right. Okay, so it opened up with 40 million overseas. So right now, its opening weekend total, 59 million. It's only made a fourth of its money back, and that's really sad because it ain't going to make any more in this country for sure. Because even though next weekend is pretty bare bones in terms of releases, once Fate of the Furious comes out, everything else is going to be buried underneath that. So, yeah. And the Power Rangers, let me see how it's doing. All right. So worldwide, it's made 97 so far on a budget of 100. That's kind of bad. It needs about 200 plus to break even. I actually really enjoyed it, and I want to see a sequel, so it's kind of disappointing. And Kong Skull Island, to go back on that. Gotta love the internet. Gotta love this shit. You guys love this shit? I love Time Warner Cable so much. All right, Kong Skull Island has made 477 million worldwide, so it's actually almost there just to break even. That's not good. Godzilla did a whole lot better. I think it made about 200 million profit. So, yeah, this is not good for Kong. So anyways, guys, that will do it for the box office results for the weekend. Next weekend, the movie's duking it out. We have Going in Style and Smurfs The Lost Village. Oh, boy. So that's the movie's coming out next week. But, yeah, so that will do it for this week's episode, guys. Thank you for tuning in and listening to us ramble about The Boss Baby and Ghost in the Shell. Next week, episode 177, I will be solo. I know it's weird. We just like, hey, Joel, you're a co-host, and I'm back to be by myself. But the only reason we're doing this is because I'm going to have my whole coverage of the Dallas International Film Festival, so I'll be talking about anywhere from 12 to 16 movies. It's going to be a lot of talking. There's going to be no news next week, no trailers. I'm just going to dive right into the movies and to give you guys that. So that'll be episode 177. But, Joel, would you like to tell our listeners what episode 178, 179, and 180 are going to be in the following weeks?
Sure, yeah. So there's going to be, on the 16th, we're going to be talking about The Fate of the Furious and a couple of others, I think, smaller releases. And then on the 179, I think we're going to have a summer preview. I think that's kind of been decided. We're going to look forward, because nothing really, there's some stuff that expands that weekend, but nothing really interesting and wide release. And then the last release of the fall, of the spring season will be The Circle and Free Fire, or it should be. So yeah, it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be a good few weeks, and I'm really excited because the summer preview is probably where Joel and I are going to probably fight the most, because there's going to be a lot of movies to talk about, and we're going to be butting heads a lot, so it's going to be really fun. So yeah, tune in for the following weeks on that. But next week, 177, Dallas International Film Festival. All right, so Joel, where can the people find you online, and give a quick plug for your dad's book once again?
Yeah, Dad's book is Sage Alexander and the Hall of Nightmares. It's available on Amazon, I think even Target.com. It's available in all Barnes & Noble locations, and obviously on that website. I think it's sage-alexander.net if you want to go on to the actual website. My brother built it. Anyway, yeah, so go buy that. And then online, Chase and I now write for the same outlet, DallasMovieScreenings.com. And I run my own website, joelonfilm.com. I review pretty consistently on that now. And Twitter is at Joel Copling _Joel. And then Letterboxd is J Copling. And yeah, so that's my internet footprint.
Yeah, and hey, listen, if it's any reconciliation, just think about it this way. If Joel is a kick-ass writer at movie reviews, doesn't it run in the family? And do you think his dad probably wrote a good book? He probably did. So it probably runs in the family, so go check that out. And for me, you can find me on Twitter at RealChaseLee, YouTube channel, subscribe to that. And, of course, you can find this podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Spreaker. I am all over the fucking place. Just type in this podcast or Joel and mine's name, and I'm sure it'll pop up. All that will be in the links in the description below. And yeah, the intro and outro music is done by my friend's band Fervent Roze. Check them out as well. All of those links will be in the description below, motherfuckers. So we will see you guys next week for another episode. It will just be me, and then on the following week from then on out, Joel will be on at least 3 episodes a month, so it'll be a lot of fun. And hey, listen, I appreciate you guys listening to this every single week. You guys are fucking awesome. Please spread this around like a great STD all over the internet and let people know, hey, it's a pretty decent podcast. Just give it a listen. If you're taking a 2-hour-long dump or something, you want to listen to something in the background while you play Angry Birds on your phone, this might be the podcast for this. So, hey, listen, if you made it through this entire podcast and you're not a movie fan, well, hopefully Joel and I convinced you to be one. See you guys next week for another episode. Ghost in the Shell, Boss Baby can suck my big old fat dick. Let's play that outro music, son. Bye-bye.